Hi, Paul James, VP of Research and Product Development for WaterRenew and the designer of IrriGRAY. This collection of clips is a quick overview of how to program IrriGRAY for the first time and how to set up the tablet for use with the IrriGRAY system. Before installing IrriGRAY, we recommend setting up your IrriGRAY program and connecting the tablet to Wi-Fi first. This is a quick clip to show you how easy it is to program IrriGRAY. Now, if you're a contractor and you haven't set up an account before, please contact WaterRenew and we'll set one up for you. So we've gone to IrriGRAY.com and we're logging in. We're going to use a fictitious contractor's account. So I'm going to log in, put in the email address, password, and we've logged in. And we'll see that this contractor already has a customer set up. We're going to add a new customer, and we will call it Peter James. So we've got our basic details for the customer, and we simply click on Add. And now we've got two customers. So with our customer Peter James, we will click on the section called View Installations. And of course, being a new customer, this customer doesn't yet have an installation in the system. So we'll click on Add. You'll see almost all of the details have been picked up from the main customer login page or creation page. What we need to do is give the tablet a login name. So I'm just going to choose Peter Home, and we could call it Peter's Home. The password has defaulted to the primary customer password. You could choose something different. So now we have our installation, and we can go through and look at what we call configurations. Configuration is a bit like a restore point or a program. So the system already has a default version, and we can click on it to view it here. So this is where we can start programming what the irrigation settings will be. It's in Santa Barbara, California, so we'll change the state to California. And I happen to know that the CIMAS zone for that region and for this property would be Zone 4. We can also choose where to get real weather to help make the irrigation as accurate as possible. You can choose up to 3 weather stations. You scroll down to Santa Barbara. We're assuming that this particular installation is close to the weather station, so we only need to use data from it. We could choose up to 3 stations and give them a separate weighting. We could also increase or decrease the value there. Then you get to decide what you want to do with the grey water if you have too much. And in California, it's pretty standard to say use as much as we have, except for November, December, January, and February. If we're going to have potable water used for sprinklers, we need to set our applicable water restrictions. And I'm going to assume that they have 1 sprinkler day allowed per week with a maximum of 4 inches per month. Some locations in the US have separate water restrictions for potable water use with drip lines, and you can set them here. You can also declare what time you want make-up water to start at the end of the day. Make-up water being, if you didn't have enough grey water, use extra potable water or rainwater depending on how the system has been set up. So that page is about where is the system and what are the water restrictions that apply. The next step, and it's the next line in the main menu, is to click on self-cleaning filter control, and make sure that you have the correct filter selected in the system. We're going to assume that it's WaterRenew disk filter, so I don't need to change any other settings here. It will just take the defaults. After that, we want to set up our zones. And I'm going to quickly go through and set up 5 zones. So zone 1 will be front lawn. Let's say that it has 800 square feet. Our water use for lawn in Santa Barbara should be about 0.5. It can happen every day. And we put in some basic details as to how much drip line was installed. That information isn't used to change or alter the amount of water supplied. It just helps with diagnostics in the future that we know how much drip line was actually put into that zone. Then we press Save Zone. We're going to edit Zone 2, and we'll call it Front Beds. This could be 1200 square feet, and they have a relatively conservation-based landscape out there, so we'll pick a value of 0.3 for the plant type. And they probably would have put in 300 feet of drip line. Do zone 3. They might have 1,000 square feet of lawn in the rear. Again, we choose 0.5 as a value. Put in 1,000 feet at 0.6 gallon per hour, and that zone has been saved as well. Zone 4, rear beds. You might have 900 square feet, probably similar to the front of the property. And they might have 200 feet of drip line, so we'll save that zone. And the last zone I'm going to choose as an example is that this could be a very large property, maybe several acres, and they want to also use potable water sprinklers for a large lawn area at the rear. Instead of being a grey water drip line setup, we now click on potable water sprinkler. The screen changes slightly. We might say that there is 3,000 square feet in that zone. Select the correct plant coefficient for the lawn, and we can choose what time those lawn sprinklers should start. And IrriGRAY uses a cycle soak method. It puts out exactly the correct number of gallons, but it does it at the maximum of 5 minutes irrigation per hour. That reduces loss of water through evaporation, runoff, and so forth. So we now have our 5 zones, and for installation purposes we suggest saving this configuration with all zones turned off. That way IrriGRAY will not try and do irrigation while the system is being tested. So I'm giving it a name, all zones off, and we're going to save. The question about confirmation, would you like to mark this configuration active, is about choosing which configuration is set. Normally you would say yes. So now we can see we have a default config, and we could delete that if we wanted to. But we have all of our zones set and they're turned off. Now, what we could do is also create a version with all the zones turned on. So I'll click on zones, and I'm simply going to turn on the required zones. And I'm going to change the configuration name to all zones on. So we'll save as new. And in this case, because we're about to do the installation, I don't want this to be my active configuration. So I'm going to say no. And now we can see we have an all zones off and we have an all zones on. And rather than having to edit anything, I could, if I wanted to right now, just click on mark as active, and within 3 minutes the tablet will have that program running or configuration. But I'm going to set it back to all zones off. So that's how easy it is to set up IrriGRAY ready for the tablet to be turned on. So now IrriGRAY has been programmed online, You can now connect the tablet to Wi-Fi and enter the login name and password, and all of the programming will automatically load. So let's do that now. I've got the tablet in front of me, and I'm going to turn it on by holding the power switch down on the top right hand corner until we see the logo come up. In this case it's Dragon Touch. I apologize, it's very hard to get a camera to autofocus on this screen because it is reflective. We'll do the best that we can. So we can see Android is starting up. Now, the customer does not need to know how Android works. And this is a fully automated tablet. It looks after itself. It actually even reboots every 24 hours to make sure we don't have issues from memory leaks and so forth. So we can see that it has started itself up. If we want to, we could unlock it again. In normal operation, you don't need to touch a thing. I'm going to unlock it, and now we need a little bit of patience. Well, there we go. IrriGRAY Smart Controller has automatically started. Now, the first thing we want to do though is to connect the tablet to Wi-Fi. So if we press on the home icon, and now I've got the main screen in Android, press on the gear icon on the left, and as I said, it's a little out of focus, but if I click on Wi-Fi, now I've already connected this tablet to my own Wi-Fi system, but it's like any Wi-Fi connection. You select the network that you want, you provide the basically the password for that network. So once that's done and we've confirmed that we have a connection, it is very important to make sure that the connection says it is connected, as this login does say there, or Wi-Fi network does say. So now we can click on the little rectangles and see what our programs are that are running. We can go into here, into our IrriGRAY Smart Controller, and it wants to know the login name. So before we created Peter Home, and we click on Next, and put in the password that I set. Don't look. You can work it out anyway. It was just a temporary password that we used. So it has now successfully logged in, and do not be surprised that the tablet within about a minute or two will automatically reboot. What is happening is that it is checking for the current version of the software, and realizing that there is a new version waiting for it, it picks it up and will automatically self-reboot. So we can see the tablet has just rebooted itself. Again, we wouldn't need to touch anything here. The tablet works by itself. But for demonstration purposes here, I'm going to unlock the tablet. And within about 30 seconds or less, the application will start running again. And there we go. See that there is an animated image above the login details. You do not need to enter login details again. It already knows, and it's just taking time to process through everything. You can now see up the top that it's now version 1.494, and that is the current version. It's interesting to look. We can see in zones that our zones are actually already created. We can see zone 1, front lawn, zone 2, front beds, and so forth, and all of these zones are turned off. That's it. Now we can go into manual control as part of the installation process, and we can manually activate or turn on and off all the different controls that we may want to use. And that's going to be covered in another video.